All right, so this week we are going to be starting to build a little corner-shaped room box. Now this box is going to serve a couple of purposes. Number one, I'm making it so I can take photos in it. I thought you guys might want to make one to display some of your projects in. It's a cute little display, I think, for displaying projects. Also, I am going to use this one to show you guys how to do the electrical wiring of a dollhouse in our upcoming series. So be sure and stay tuned to see how to build this, and be sure and check the blog post for more about the how and the why of why we're making this. Alright, so off camera I cut all the pieces of foam core that I'm going to use in this project. So I have a porch piece, it's 10 1/4 by 3. All these sizes will be on the blog post. So this is 10 1/4 by 3. This one is 10 1/4 by 10. It's a wall. Another wall is 10 by 10. The floor is 10 by 10. And then our base is 10 1/4 by 13 1/4. We're going to put the base and the porch pieces off to the side. And we are going to work with these 3 pieces first. So, and I have a piece of parchment paper here because I don't want to get glue all over this. Now we need 2 things. We need glue. I'm using some turbo tacky, and we need some straight pins. These are just sewing pins. And this is how I hold it together. So, what we are going to do is making sure we have our 10-inch, sure we have the right sides. Okay. So we want to make sure that our long side is going to go along here. And we're going to put this one like this. So let's start by putting glue on this surface. This is the 10 by 10 piece. And then I'm taking the 10 by 10 1/4 piece, making sure I have it so the 10-inch piece side is lined up. This is the long piece, the 10 1/4 length. This is the 10. Now, and this is where it gets a little tricky. Let's get this out of the way. I'm going to actually do this way. I'm trying to do this so that you can see and so that I can see. Now, these pins, I kind of brace my leg against that. I'm putting the pins in. They work kind of like a nail. And what I'm doing, I'm inserting them close to this edge so that they go inside this piece of foam core. I don't want those pins sticking out anywhere. The only part we'll see when we're done with this step will be the heads. If the point of your pin comes out through a side, you're going to have to redo that pin. And we're going to put more in after we get the next step done. Now, let's double check. See, no pins, and we are lined up pretty straight there. Now, we take our floor piece, put this back to the side, and our floor piece needs glue on 2 edges. This is a square, so it doesn't matter which 2. We're going to put glue along this edge. Hopefully, I won't get glue all over my cutting surface. My cutting surface, by the way, is my my self-healing mat that I use for sewing. I use the back side for crafting. The side that's plain is the back side. I use that when I'm crafting. And for sewing, I use the other side. That keeps my crafting stuff off of the good side. Once again, we're lining up so the edges are lined. And I'm going to put some pins in. And once I get the first few pins in, then I can put the side I'm pinning to the top. And what these pins do is they hold everything together so that we have a much firmer joint between the edges, because we've only got a 1/4 inch here of space that we're gluing to. All right, so I'm going to put this up like this. And now I'm going to put these pins in. I'm going to put a lot in because I want this to be sturdy. I want it to stay together. Pins are cheap. And I'm making sure I'm not going through. I'm not seeing any tip of my pin coming out my foam core on the bottom. Then I'm going to look inside. Whoops, that last one. You see that? It came out. So I need to pull that one out, and I need to put it back in. Now, double check. Whoops, and it's fighting me again. That one is going to try. Okay, let's try another hole. All right, now once I know that all of my pins are in a good spot, I'm going to use something flat. You can use anything. I've got my craft knife here. This is what I use to cut my foam core. Use a flat surface. And just push the head of the pin down. Put one more here and one more here. Oops, that did not go in straight. So I'm going to continue the same way on all 3 of our seams, and when this glue is dry, I'll come back and we'll move to the next step. Alright, so my glue is now set, and one piece I totally forgot to tell you to cut, because I had forgotten to cut it myself, was we need another 10 by 10 piece, a 3rd piece of 10 by 10 for our ceiling. It's going to be attached to the same unit the same way as the floor. So hopefully my son won't come in from outside while I'm doing this. I am going to just apply some glue to two edges that are next to each other, and then I'm going to use the pins, and I'm going to put the ceiling in place here so that we'll have the ceiling on our room. So just like with the floor, put this in, start pinning, and when I get this all dry, I'll be back. Alright, at this point I want to attach our room to our base, and in order to do that, oops, it goes this way. First I need to make sure I'm going the right direction. I want an open end here, so I have open corners, but I also need to know where to put pins to go into here. And I'm sorry the lighting's not very good, but it's really hard to light this in this room. So I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to draw a line. I've got this all lined up the way I want it. Now I'm going to flip this over and put some glue on here. And again, I'm just using my same tacky glue. I'm just going to kind of put some there, make sure I have some around the edges, and some in the middle. Doesn't have to be spread out even, because now, keeping this side up so that I know where my line is, I'll line that up. Now I need to clamp these 2 open edges, because I can't pin these, so you can't see the 2 open edges. I need to clamp these 2 edges. So I'm going to get this lined up the way I want it, and I'm going to take 2 jumbo craft sticks. I'm going to have to turn this so that I can see what I'm doing. Hopefully you guys still can. And I've got a couple of binder clips. And on each of these corners, whoops, making sure I don't shift, making sure this stays straight, because when you put that binder clip on, it's going to want to push it. But if you don't clamp on the craft stick, you're going to have trouble, because it's going to bite into the soft foam core, and you're going to have little dents. And I haven't decided what I'm going to use for a floor covering yet. I don't know what my floor treatment's going to be in this Roombox, so I don't want to be putting little dents in it. Alright, let's see if I can do this so that you guys can see. There's not really much magic to this. It's just getting that on and making sure this stays straight. Get 2 on. Always clamp in pairs. It keeps things nice and level. Now, we've got our pins again. So we know our wall ends right here because we drew that line. So I know that I can come in just in, and I'm kind of looking down. Yep, I'm lining up. So I'm going to run a line of pins along this edge, along this line, and also a line along here. And this is where it gets kind of interesting, because every once in a while when you push a pin in, you'll run into a pin from the last batch of pins you put into that top. So I am going to get my seams all pinned so they stay together. And when this glue is dry, I'll be back and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so our glue is maybe not dry completely, but pretty dry. It's set up enough we can go to our next step. Whoops. Just broke the binder clip. I'm going to have to go retrieve another one before I finish up this next step. So, I'm going to take these off, and there's a little bit of a mark from the craft stick, but not much. So now, the next thing we need to do is we're going to dry fit our little porch piece. And what we do by doing this, we give ourselves a double thick base. I know the lighting is really not good here, but I don't really have any better lighting right now. It's too cold in the other end of the house. And it inserts this vertical wall between the two pieces, just like a rabbet joint would do in woodworking. And it makes this a much stronger base than it would be otherwise. So, see if I can put this where we can see it. This fits just fine. And now we're going to basically do the same thing we did there, except we don't have anything we need to pin. And this area will become a porch. I'm going to put a fake front door on the front of this. I thought about putting a real door in, but I really don't want a door on the inside. So I'm just going to put a fake door and siding on the outside of it. And then we'll be able to have it look like a porch. Now we're going to do the same. Whoops, I just did that with the Post-it note in the middle. That was not good. Don't leave the Post-it note in there. Oops. Somebody said on one of my videos, they commented they like it when I make mistakes because I show them how to fix it. And that's kind of the idea. I look at it as it's a teachable moment. We all make stupid mistakes from time to time. Let's see, can I angle out? Well, yeah. I'm going to do this a little different. And I will probably end up putting a few more clips on the corners. But I'm going to have to go get another one to replace this. I'm going to do the same thing on this corner and let this glue dry. And when it's all dry, I'll be back and we'll start working on the next step. Alright, so we're going to have an additional step to this than I thought we were yesterday. But first, let's unclamp our porch. Get this all out of the way. So now we have that all, that glue's completely dried. I got thinking about our structure, and in the middle of the night I realized something. I need to have a little short wall on the top of here, and I debated, do I just start over and refilm the entire video and waste the foam core, or do I show you how to add a little short wall? This actually was the best way to get this ceiling portion for this room in here straight. So we are going to add some little 1.5 inch walls above this. But if I just put these on like this and just put a bead of glue here and stuck this on, it wouldn't be very stable. It would be wanting to come off. So we are going to stabilize that. We're going to do this in a couple of steps. So what I have here these skinny bamboo toothpicks from Dollar Store. Hopefully the light is better on the video than it looks in the preview screen. But these are those cheap toothpicks from the Dollar Store, and they're skinnier than regular toothpicks. And what I want to do, I'm actually going to use a full toothpick. I've cut a bunch of them in half. I'm going to kind of pre-make a hole here with a whole one, and then put some glue on this. And stick this in. And I want to have these, I've cut the toothpicks approximately in half. I want to stick them down in there about that far. So I am going to probably put, I'm thinking 4 of them on each wall maybe. The only trick to this is making sure that you don't hit where you have a pin, and you'll be able to see where the pins are. One here. I'm just putting a little glue on to make this a little more stable. And then while this glue is setting, I'll go back and do the rest of these off camera. We are also going to take these 2 pieces. I cut 2 pieces, 1.5 inches long, tall. One is 10 inches and one's 10.5. So we need to make sure we get them right. We're going to put these together just like we did for the walls. We're going to match those up. We're going to take some pins, and we'll probably only need 2 pins here. The toothpicks are really doing the same job that our pins did. And if you were just doing the room that we're building and you're not going to use it to wire, you wouldn't need to do this. But since I'm using this room for the electrical tutorial, I need to have this little short wall on the top. It will become very obvious why we need it when we get to wiring. So I'm going to get the rest of those toothpicks in there, and when the glue is all dry, I'll be back. Alright, so I think our glue is pretty well set up, and these are in here nice and firmly. Now you'll notice I put these with the pointed ends up. There's a reason for that. You'll see in a moment. Alright, so this goes this way. I want to make sure I'm putting glue in the right place. Put glue on the edge. This is going to go down. And be careful you don't scrape yourself on those toothpicks as you're working with it. Now, this is another one of those projects where I really need to have my head right over the top of my project. But I want you guys to be able to see too. I missed my toothpick. And you might have to give this a couple of tries. There we go. We missed a toothpick. Okay. That was on the side. You guys were watching. You didn't tell me. Actually, you probably were. You may have been yelling at the screen that I was missing that one. All right. They are ready. And that's pretty smooth, pretty flat. And now that will be sturdy enough we can work with it. So I need this glue to dry completely. So I think this is the end of this week's portion of our project. Next week we're going to put some outside siding on the outside walls and put a fake door on this wall. And the following week we'll actually start the wiring portion. We'll start working on the electrical series, and we'll be going back and forth between building and wiring and the structure you'll see in most of the videos for the next couple of weeks or month or so probably. So I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure and check the blog post. I'll take some photos from all directions for there, and if you haven't found us on Facebook, be sure and join us there, and I will talk to you later. Bye.